Yeah, I'm going to drop the link to the YouTube where the video is going to YouTube if you want to watch it on YouTube instead of participating as a Zoom. You're welcome to do either way.
I mean, I'm down to sit and listen, but I was just like, I didn't know if it was either way, I guess. Oh, yeah, I guess I can't watch and be on the Zoom.
Yeah, you can't.
Maybe I've already participated in this all you're trying to free up.
Yeah, so you're welcome to hang out with me here. Like I say, you're a little early. We're waiting for some folks to join in. Usually we get rolling about 3 or 4 minutes after. I'm actually on my other screen here trying to shoot out a couple of invites here to folks real quick.
I'm Amy, by the way.
Amy? Oh, hi, Amy. My name's Scott. If you don't mind,
Hi,
I'm
Scott.
going to switch my view here. And if you don't mind, I'm going to rename yours Amy.
A-M-I-E.
Oh, I spelled it wrong. Let me go and fix that again.
Pure Prairie League. Wrote a song about me.
Oh, okay. And that's the way they spell it. Is that the way Pure Prairie League spelled it?
Yep, it sure did. So my dad spelled it the same way.
Cool. Cool. I don't think I realized that. I know the song you're talking about, but I don't think I realized that.
And I still don't know what I want to do.
What you gonna do?
I don't know.
Let me see. I don't know. Let me see if I can find these other links here. That's an old one. Oh, I've got to go back to last month, I think.
You're such a cute puppy. That's why you get to go bye-bye.
Oh, heck. Let me see if I can find the link for this meeting again. All right, we are at 7 o'clock. We will get started in a minute or two, well, about 2 or 3 minutes. So bear with us. We are streaming live to YouTube, and we'll catch up with all that in just a moment.
That's fun.
There's what I'm looking for. Where did that other screen go? Oh, there it is, way over there. All righty, we're at 7:02, so we're going to kind of get started. We will start with our regular greeting. Thank you to everybody that's joining us this evening here live on Zoom, and also welcome to anybody who might be viewing on YouTube or catching it as a recording later on. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. All right, enough with the little disclaimer. Hide that button there. And excuse me. Usually on our monthly meetings, I will start with a little recap of what's going on in politics. And I don't know why I would change that this month. So we're going to start right off the bat talking a little bit about politics. And I won't get too deep into it because, of course, we're sort of in the end of every session, except federal level. There's some interesting news that's going on. And if you follow us on Facebook, you may already know. If not, I will be sharing a link in the chat here in a few moments. Wrong link. I gotta find another link. But there is, oh, that's what I'm looking for. The November newsletter from Lowcountry NORML. It's actually easier for me to find some stuff on a newsletter we've already put out. Big news came up a couple of days ago where the House Majority Leader, don't know his name offhand now because I don't have it in front of me, basically put out a letter. The letter stated basically in it that during the lame duck session at the end of the year here, during December, and it looks like probably the week following Thanksgiving, they are going to bring up the MORE Act for a vote in the House, in the U.S. House. The MORE Act has currently 118 co-sponsors. 117 of those are Democratic co-sponsors and one Republican co-sponsor. I want to say he's out of Florida, but I'm not sure. And I don't have that right in front of me. Oh, actually, I have a click right here. I can click and tell you. 1 second. Yes, actually, I should know this. It's Matt Getz out of Republican out of Florida. Kind of surprised me because I do follow him on Facebook, and he says, in my opinion, some pretty outlandish type things. But anyway, so the big push right now is to contact our local legislators on the at the House level and ask them to sign on as co-sponsors and or vote for the MORE Act when it comes up for vote. I drafted a letter to Representative Clyburn and sent it out yesterday. Representative Clyburn is the House Majority Whip. It's kind of like the second position after the House Minority Leader or Majority Leader. And the whip's job is to kind of make sure that the other party members are voting along party lines, and this is a pretty strongly supported Democratic Party issue. And so we're hoping, I've asked him to sign on as a co-sponsor. At this point, there are absolutely no co-sponsors from South Carolina. I've requested Joe Cunningham do it repeatedly. I'm in his district. He hasn't yet. I just reached out to him again to do that. So where did I just put it? I am going to drop a link here in the chat window. And this is where you can go click on the link. It will take you out to NORML's an action to basically write to your legislator. You'll fill in your name and your address, and by filling in your address, it will know who your legislators are in the House. And these are only going to House legislators, U.S. House. And so, like I say, mine only went to Cunningham because I'm in his district. I drafted a separate letter to Clyburn because he is the House Majority Whip. And I thought it was important to contact him as a representative of our state. And unfortunately, and I even wrote it in the letter, when the new legislature starts in January, Cunningham will be out, Nancy Mace will be in as a freshman Republican House member, making all but Clyburn Republican in the state of South Carolina. And on the Senate side at the federal level, we have two, and that is Graham and Tim Scott, and they're both Republican. So a lot of our legislators are not as inclined to vote marijuana. There are a few. I don't have it in front of me right now, but here in South Carolina, we have two House members that are Republicans that may, one more so than the other, vote for this, and I wouldn't even see why the one wouldn't sign on as a co-sponsor. That would be, I want to say Tim Rice. I actually think I'm wrong. I think it's Tom Rice. I was just talking about this 2 nights ago on our Sunday night cannabis conversation, and I don't remember. So I'm going to have to, oh, there we go. There's my link right in front of me. Ralph Norman was the other one. He's got a C- grade on our Smoke the Vote voters guide. He's not real cannabis friendly, although he did vote for the Safe Banking Act. Excuse me. He voted against the McClintock amendment. But the other is Tom Rice, Republican out of 7th District, and he's got, I believe, a B rating. He has signed some cannabis legislation, so he would definitely be a good one to address your letters to if you're in his district. The other three, Wilson, Duncan, and Timmons, I don't follow Joe Wilson, or if I do, he doesn't post a lot. Duncan and Timmons, I'm usually disappointed in some of their commentary. But, you know, and again, like I said, I just wrote to Cunningham, hoping he will at least vote for it, sign on to it during this tail end of this lame duck session, and give this a little boost at the federal level. Anyway, that's what's going on pretty much at the federal level. Otherwise, nothing's really moving. And state level, of course, nothing's going on right now. But I have been following Tom Davis, who is the sponsor of the Republican version of the House version. I'm sorry, House Senate. Senator Davis. He's the Senate version. Okay, it had taken me a second to remember. Senator Tom Davis is the sponsor of the Senate version of the Compassionate Care Act. Last session, or earlier this session, Representative Peter McCoy was the sponsor of the companion bill for the House on that, basically identical bills, one submitted to the House, one submitted to the Senate. Peter McCoy is no longer in that seat, and the person in that seat is a freshman legislator, probably wouldn't have the momentum that a legislator that's been in their seat for a while would have, and we don't know where or if another companion bill is going to be coming out with the Compassionate Care Act. Our position here at NORML on the Compassionate Care Act, the South Carolina Compassionate Care Act, is it needs some work. It needs some amending. It doesn't have enough qualifying conditions. I believe they've taken the ability to purchase flower out of there. There's no home grow in there. And there's also language in there that gives law enforcement, SLED and the 46 County Sheriff's Offices 50% of all the tax revenues generated through the program. That's half of all the revenues generated through the program would be going to SLED and 46 County Sheriff's Offices. I'm not sure why they need to be benefiting from a medical program. And that's something definitely that we do not agree with. We think that needs to be removed, reduced drastically. I mean, I wouldn't mind 5%, but 50%, it's just way out of line. Those funds should be going back to communities that have been impacted unfairly by the war on drugs. But that's kind of what's going on at the state level coming up soon. And my hope, I haven't talked to any legislators about it yet, but earlier, in this session, 3 legislators proposed a decrim bill. They were all Democratic legislators. They didn't see a lot of action. I think one of them ended up with about 3 or 4 co-sponsors, and I think those co-sponsors may have been like the drafters of the other bills. But what tends to happen with marijuana legislation here in the state of South Carolina is both our House and our Senate are controlled by Republican majorities. Those majorities get to control the different cabinets and committees. Those different committees, they'll chair those committees, and then the chairs of those committees are the ones that decide what legislation they're going to discuss and vote on, and see if they can vote it out of their committee and to the floor or not. And it just happens to be that it's challenging to get democratically sponsored legislation to move out of committee, to get voted on, to get discussed on. It tends to get tabled, pushed to the back, and completely ignored. And with the election a couple of weeks back, it didn't really do the marijuana support community any favors, because it actually lost a couple of Democrats and added a couple of Republicans to both the House and the Senate. I think it was 3 to the House and added 3 Republicans to the House, or converted 3 to the House and converted 3 to the Senate, giving even stronger majorities. And I believe marijuana should be a nonpartisan, bipartisan issue. The problem that I see with it, though, while I've been working on this for the past 4.5, 5 years here in South Carolina, is that except for a few Republican legislators, like Tom Davis for one, not many are ready to sign on and support these bills. And even as much as I appreciate Tom Davis's efforts, I also believe that his efforts are very conservative by not giving enough options for qualifying conditions. Although it's better than some of the medical marijuana legislation I've seen proposed here in South Carolina, which was basically end of life type legislation that, oh yeah, if you're going to be dying within the next 12 months or less, we'll see if maybe we could allow some marijuana use to ease your agony. None of that legislation has actually moved forward. The most popular so far that has moved furthest is Tom Davis's bill. McCoy's version of it last year never left its committee, and I don't even think it managed to get a vote in its committee. Davis's was scheduled to come up for discussion and a vote, and then the pandemic hit, and they basically shut down the legislature for anything except for, I guess, talking about pandemic stuff and other things that were not as important to me anyway. As what's important to me is the cannabis legislation. So, and then we move on to municipal level, county and municipal level. County level here in Charleston, where I'm located, Charleston County has elected a new sheriff. I did notice that the incumbent sheriff, Al Cannon, was actually in some of his promos and advertising for the race, promoting the fact that they have de-emphasized simple marijuana possession arrests. That was announced back in December of 2019. The advertising, I think, tried to make it sound like he did it out of the kindness of his heart, that he realized this was, the war on drugs was not the right thing to do. But in reality, the response to de-emphasize marijuana arrests in Charleston County were because a prison that was built for 600 people had 3 times that many inmates in there. And as you all know, about half of all drug arrests are simple marijuana possession arrests. A lot of people go to jail for nothing more than a seed in their ashtray or a stained piece of roach paper without any weed in it. I've seen it happen. So anyway, I don't think it was just out of graciousness on his part And the, oh, lost somebody. The new sheriff that's come on, I believe will be a little bit more open to talking about that with us. And so in that sort of line, although we're not looking to do a county level voter initiative ballot, voter ballot initiative, we are ramping back up with our Charleston, City of Charleston, and our Folly Beach and our Town of James Island petitions. I was actually got some distributed last week to the students at the College of Charleston, the Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and we're going to start looking into ways to get them to help us start collecting signatures. Of course, in our discussion with them last week, it was very much like it's been for the past 9 months here is, you know, we're almost 9 months. We're in the middle of the pandemic. How do you get out and knock on doors and start asking voters to sign our petitions? And we still haven't come up with a clear, concise answer to that yet. So that's one of the things we're kind of working on. And let's see, one other thing I do want to kind of mention before I open this up, also on a local level, we have started our South Carolina marijuana survey. I shared that out earlier today onto our 3 social media platforms. And I also posted a blog post on our website about it. And I did try and do a nextdoor.com post in my local area. Let me go find that real quick. We've gotten a pretty strong response, I think, so far for the first day. I am showing, come on, reload, 91 responses. Now, I'm trying to emulate the Winthrop survey that was, I think that was the name of it, that was done about 2 years ago through Winthrop University in South Carolina. Their total responses on theirs was around 700. I don't remember if it was a little under or a little over, but I'm gonna guess it was like 750, about 750 or so respondents to their survey. So I'm hoping to run ours to at least long enough to get that number. I've just shared the link down here in our chat window. If you are able to share it out to your social media and friends and family. And I'm trying to share it to almost everywhere, anywhere, because I don't want to be basically just getting answers from an echo chamber. I'm not going to put it just on our social media. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, today there were a couple of news outlets here in the Charleston area that posted about the MORE Act vote coming up. I was able to then go on and comment with both of these links, actually. One, I'd go in as normal and say, contact your legislators and let them know they should vote for this. And the other was the link to the survey, but I'd go in as my personal self and post those. And I think that gave us quite a bit of our activity today, is those actually being out on some posts that were from other news sites. And I try to do that pretty regularly. I find it challenging sometimes, especially because one I like to post on is the state newspaper, and they don't often, oh, lost somebody else. They don't often post a lot in the marijuana stories. Same with the Greenville, I want to say Greenville Gazette, the Greenville News. I usually try and comment on a topical story and not just comment on something arbitrarily, because that just wouldn't be right. Anyhow, so there's some of them I haven't posted to, but I am also in the process of drafting a letter to the editor, to the local Post and Courier newspaper, which is again in my area, to talk about the MORE Act and try and educate the community a little bit and ask them to again contact their legislators and vote on it. I don't know if I'll get this in time. I am hoping I will. I don't know how long it takes once you submit, but if I can get a couple extra people to kind of contact our legislators, the hope is always there. Kristen's coming back in. Looks like she must have had a little wonky internet connection. So yeah, I am in the process of drafting out a letter to the editor here. If you're from another area in South Carolina, I'd ask you to draft a letter to your local editor of the newspaper, talking about the MORE Act, sharing this link in here about where to contact their legislators, and cross our fingers. 118 legislators, that's more than half of the, or 117 is more than half of the Democratic House members. So, you know, if we can, I don't see it not passing, but the reason they postponed it in September was because they weren't comfortable if it would pass or not. I guess they're a little bit more confident now. And again, we are in a lame duck session, so if it passes, it's really just more a attaboy shot in the arm. It'll have to come back up again in the new legislative session. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. Monthly meeting stuff. Oh, as long as I'm talking about local, I will briefly bring up that we are always looking, have been looking for people to help us administer the organization, so board members. We really are in, I would say, desperate need, not quite desperate, but wanting need of a treasurer, somebody that has at least some basic math skills. Doesn't really have to be a lot. We're not a big corporation. We don't deal with lots of dollars. We don't even do a per se tax return. We do have to do a financial report to the state each year. And federal government, it's a 5-question checkbox thing that really doesn't ask us a whole lot of information. Because again, we are not a very moneyed organization, but the state wants to know a little bit more of the financials. So that's helpful. If somebody has some math skills, I mean, I don't even do the household checkbook. My wife takes care of that. I would, you know, so if somebody is their home checkbook keeper, they could probably qualify for the treasurer position. Also, the other open seat we have at the moment is our secretary position. So secretary pretty much currently kind of oversees our membership and keeps track of you know, members that have paid their annual dues, and also trying to generate new memberships. Also helped me for the most part in handling any of our sponsorships and other donation, tracking who those folks were. And technically, according to their bylaws, they're supposed to help me answer like the emails and stuff like that, but I usually don't need a whole lot of assistance with that. And also the thing that we're always looking for outside of board members is volunteers to help us do all kinds of stuff, whether it's get out on the street and start collecting signatures, which is one of the things we're really going to be starting to ramp up and look for in the off-tour season in Charleston. And Folly Beach, basically. We're going to start in those areas again where we had last time. We're starting fresh. I'm not going to use any of the old signatures because some of them are about 2 years old. The pandemic, like I say, shut us down for a good long time. So we're starting fresh with all those. I have to do a little research into the pricing to buy the list for registered voters in, I mustn't have the other one here, in the city of Charleston. I have a list for Folly Beach. That one didn't cost us a whole lot. The list for Charleston is a much larger list. It's going to cost us a little bit more. We're probably going to have to raise some donations to help us get that. And we're going to this time to save money and also to make it a little easier for us. We're going to order the digital version, which costs a little less money, and then we can print out however we want to print it instead of just paying one printed copy, and now I have to photocopy it if I want additional copies. They actually charge more if you just want printed copies. I don't know. Anyway, to my benefit, to our benefit, if we get the digital version, because we can print multiple sections or different copies and say, okay, you're on Daniel Island, you take this section, or you take these 3 copies or 4 copies of this section and share it with your volunteers over in Daniel Island or Johns Island or West Ashley or here on James Island, or the city of Charleston is spread out and intermingled. Like here on James Island, it's a patchwork like a quilt. You've got, one property could be town of James Island, one property could be the city of Charleston, and one property could be unincorporated county property. So not even everybody in James Island can sign either of our 2 petitions for this particular area because we are not doing a county level. We just think that the numbers on the county level are going to be way beyond our abilities to gather at this point. So I have rambled at you all for about 25 minutes here. And I don't have a whole lot more to talk about. I will be, like I say, mentioning briefly. It's been in the back of my mind to start getting ready to get our booth out. I have to talk to the folks down at the Folly Beach Farmers Market and also the Folly Beach Art Market about possibly setting up at those locations for starters. But to be quite honest with you, I'm almost thinking of setting up on the side of the road in different locations throughout the city. And I'm going to need your help to help me find some locations where that would be feasible, where cars would have an ability to pull over and get at, come over and sign our petitions. I'm actually for like Saturday and Sunday options. I would love to find some closed businesses that have a parking lot with an entrance exit at opposite ends, and we could just have them drive through, never even get out of their car, just sign our petitions and drive on through. So if any of you all can help us with that here in the Charleston area, would definitely appreciate that. And I think that's all I have for today. Oh, I did want to mention one other thing because I did kind of talk briefly on memberships. We have on our website the 2021 membership available. All I don't have posted with it is we're going to be doing a membership drive for the first portion of the year, probably through about either the 1st of February or the 15th of February. If you sign up for your 2021 Lowcountry NORML membership within that time frame, you will receive a new version of our normal button and a sticker, large leaf sticker. You can see that thing's about as big as my hand. The pin's not. And I don't have it in front of me, but I think what I'm going to throw into this mix is our old button. As long as they last, we'll give an extra bonus at the beginning of the year, because these are our newer ones, are because NORML hit their 50th anniversary this past season. Basically 1970, 71 was when they were founded in 70, drafted their bylaws and documents in 71. Technically they're started in 70, so their 50th anniversary is this year. They've rebranded. I don't know if you can see it on the button, that little, not focusing that close. That little like not leaf thing on there, they're calling a service mark. I think it'll make it a little bit more consumer friendly to the soccer moms and the old people and things like that, instead of the blaring pot leaf. Because it still carries stigma with it in a lot of communities, to a lot of people. So anyway, we really are going to try and push that. So we're hoping people will share that. Excuse me again. We are kind of broke right now, and so some funding is going to be needed, whether it's through our membership or we do another fundraising drive. Like I said, just to be able to, I think I'm going to do one once I get the numbers down for what we need for the Charleston voter list, and do a fundraising drive specifically for that. Oh, and Kristen, I have a quick question for you. Have you heard back at all from the person who was talking about designing a new t-shirt for us?
I have not. I was planning on reaching back out a second time, probably check in.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of wondering about it, because again, we are out of our large classic t-shirts, and I think we have 2 left of the extra large, And what I'm going to probably do in the meantime is get some kind of real simple black, small, the new logo on the front, Lowcountry NORML, and the little service mark, and then probably a little bit bigger version of that same thing on the back with the web address. And get those in one color and get them in only in the sizes that we're out of the other stuff in for the time being as we move forward. I know we still have some more iron-ons. We can make some more of the large and extra large shirts in the classic style. I just don't know how enthusiastic I am about producing more of those with the new logo. I think once we get some of the new logo ones up and going, then we may revisit and we'll bring some of the classic ones back in the other sizes. But until then, until we have the money to do so, we have to be a little frugal on what we get where. Mike has in here, what about Somerville? If you're asking about a decrim on Somerville, we do not have a petition drafted for Somerville. Our plan has been all along to do 3 at a time. The reason we're doing James Island right now is basically because it's so mixed and blend with Charleston. The reason we're doing Folly right now is because it's a small target. We really only need about 400 signatures there. Once we get any one of those, we'll add on a new third one. And our plan is to hit Somerville. Actually, I don't know, but I think it was Somerville first. I'm going a lot by population in the area. Mount Pleasant's going to be another one of our next ones after that. And of course, then up in Somerville, there's, Goose Creek and Hanahan are relatively, larger populations here in the state. We have a good portion of the state's population in the towns right around here. It's just a matter of logistics to get too many petitions going at one time. I think it's going to, it would confuse me. And make it a little bit more challenging. So that's the plan is at this point to try and do 1 at a time. I've been at it. I was up at an event. What was it? 98 Rock had some sort of music event up near the Somerville area. I forget the venue. It was along. And also when I was up there for the Slightly Stupid concert, that venue along the water up there. I want to say the old Navy base or something like that. And yeah, I was getting hammered by everybody. Where's our Goose Creek one? Where's the Somerville one? Where all these, and yeah, logistically, we've had to start somewhere. And so that's kind of where we chose to start. If somebody says to me, and I will put this out there, if somebody says to me, look, I'll take responsibility and I will man the volunteers and I will handle this particular town, I'd reach out to the powers that be that I need to see if they could draft us a petition for that particular area. Yes. It's kind of same thing here. Unfortunately, I mean, the CBD shops, I don't know how. I've actually gotten a little, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not really feeling the love from the local CBD shops. Yeah, they're kind of, I don't know if a lot of them are just saying, look, we've got the CBD now, we're going to just bite our tongue and not rock the boat. And also, I must admit, National does not accept CBD advertisers as donors and advertisers. I guess as donors, and they're not promoting them, only because the CBD is unregulated and there's been some high reports of not like 80% of the product not having in it what they say is supposed to be in it and that kind of stuff. So I'm a little apprehensive also about accepting advertising from CBD companies, but with the same respect, there's one local shop, a smoke and brew shop here that sells a lot of paraphernalia. It's not just a CBD company. It sells all kinds of pipes and bongs and, well, I guess we can't call them bongs here, water pipes and straight pipes and, papers, and they have some fun stuff. They have a lot of neat stuff. Actually, I got my cowboy hat with pot leaves on it there. They have oh, I don't know, cooking aprons with pot related stuff on it. They have doormats, they have stuff. They have lots of stuff. And they sell CBD flower and CBD products, I believe, as well. But their concept is sort of a head shop in the front and a beer gardens in the back. And they do have an open air beer gardens area there that I'm thinking about also as a location for us to just start to do some outreach locally here and get some signatures locally here. But yes, Mike, if you want to sort of talk to me more about this, and if, like I say, where I'm located, first off, I don't think, except for once or twice, I've ever really been to Somerville. I landed in Charleston. I don't travel far. I got a shitty vehicle, but anyway, Somerville is definitely what's the next on my list. But if somebody is willing to take the reins and actually run with it without me having to be too involved, think about that and get back to me on it. I would then reach out and see if I can get a petition for that particular area drafted. What I found a lot of times, even just locally here in Charleston, is we're downtown Marion Square, and we get a lot of tourists here, although it's down right now because of course, the pandemic, but I've been out in the streets asking. And I've gotten the same sort of complaint, I guess, or comment from the students over at the college when they're trying to collect petitions or signatures is, we get so many people that don't actually live in the city of Charleston or aren't registered voters in the city of Charleston. They come from Somerville, or they're visiting from, someplace just outside the city. And I agree, that's the challenge. It's a big challenge. But it's a challenge that is sort of placed upon us by the state because the state does not do voter initiative ballots. Four states just legalized marijuana at this past election. I've had so many people saying to me, well, why isn't South Carolina doing that? Because South Carolina, based on their South Carolina Constitution, does not have initiative ballots, initiative ballots on the state level ballot. Although I did see Tom Davis mention something about if his, I don't want to misquote him, but I think it said that if his medical marijuana bill didn't pass, he was ready to submit a bill to allow the voters to vote on it. Now, whether that bill would get anywhere or not, I don't know. And of course, it would probably be a one issue vote and not become a thing for the state. They would have to actually change the constitution of the state to do that. That's, I think, where we are at the local level. Any comments, thoughts, other suggestions, y'all, before I kind of end this up tonight? Nope, I'm not seeing any unmute buttons on mute. And I'm seeing no additional comments down here. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of call it a meeting, and thank you for joining me here tonight. Don't forget to reach out to your House members and let them know to vote for the MORAT. And don't forget to go and participate in our South Carolina marijuana survey and share it. And otherwise, watch for us every Sunday at 7 o'clock for the South Carolina Cannabis Conversation online, and the third Tuesday of every month here at 7 o'clock for our monthly NORML meetings. You can contact me by email at lowcountrynormal@gmail.com or visit our website at normalsc.org. If you missed any of our previous meetings, you can catch them up on our YouTube channel. Just look for Lowcountry NORML on YouTube. That's all I got for you tonight. Thank you very much for joining me, and